In the Gospel of Matthew, in chapter 13, we read, Jesus told them a parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat, and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed ears, then the weeds also appeared. The owner's servants came to him and said, Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did the weeds come from? An enemy did this, he replied. The servants asked him, Do you want us to go and pull them up? No, he answered, because while you are pulling up the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time I will tell the harvesters, First collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned, then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn. Do you know what the tumbleweed is? Where the sermon text just says weeds, it actually says tumbleweed. It is a plant that looks very much like wheat, but if you eat it, you get sick. Imagine you have sown a field with wheat, and one day you stand at the edge of the field and realize among the wheat there is also tumbleweed. At the beginning you couldn't recognize it at all. The two plants are too similar. But then at a certain point, and if you look more closely, then you see it, how it grows together. Wheat next to tumbleweed, tumbleweed next to wheat. Great, you think. Actually, you should pull it out, but now you can't do that. You can't do that without pulling out the wheat as well. In the beginning it would have been possible, but then both looked quite the same. And now it is too late. Imagine your year is like a field. You have planted and sown. And not only you, others have also planted and sown. No one works all alone in his life. What we sow grows with us, good and bad if we are honest. And with us also grows what others sow, good and bad too. And sometimes it's not clearly to distinguish anyway. And then it grows, sometimes unconsciously, almost always uncontrollably, who has his whole life free of weeds. Anyway, some things have grown. And today you're standing at the edge of the field and look back at this year, and you see what has grown well and planted. And you see the other, what just grows wildly. You don't even know anymore what you have sown yourself and what someone else has thrown onto the field. At the end, that's also quite irrelevant. In any case, not only what you want and have planted grows. Sometimes you look at your field and think, there's so much tumbleweed and so little wheat. And it just grows all mixed up. I felt like that sometimes this year. And some people have told me that they felt very much the same way. This pandemic makes people tired. Not every single day, every single week, but the duration of it all. And for some people, there is much more and much harder things. Everyone has their own field to cultivate. Sometimes I think to myself, who sowed this or that? Was it me? Or was it God? Or did someone just throw weeds in between? And then, what's the point? I don't think there's the answer there. We see what grows, but we don't see who has sown it. We just have to deal with this field that is given to us. This is our field. This is our year. This is our life. Sometimes I want to say, God, do you want me to go into my field and pull up the weeds? But I know at that very moment that I just can't do that. That I can't do it because I'd be pulling up a lot of good stuff at the same time. And in general, I lack the overview what is wheat and what is not. And then I hear him say, don't do that. Let both grow until the harvest. And then I realize it's not harvest time by a long shot. Not at this turn of the year, and not at the next birthday. And harvest time is not when I notice the weeds. Harvest time is not when I think everything is growing in a mess. Harvest time is when God says it's time. And then he takes the weeds, and even with that he puts a lot of effort in it. He bundles them and carries them home, and there it still makes the room warm. And he takes the wheat, and it goes into the barn to feed many. And what I myself could not do anything with is a harvest for him. Just a few more hours, then it's a new year. And as in every year, it will sometimes be easier and sometimes harder. 2022 will certainly not be a perfect year either. There will be wheat and tumbleweed. We will celebrate birthdays, and we will have to bid farewell. We will laugh together and have to comfort each other. Even in 2022, life will never be completely whole. But time and again we will feel a glimpse of what it might feel like. Again and again we will feel where God is calling us. Again and again we will hear where He needs us. And so we can go confidently into this new year. Go and sow, and do not despair. Something is still growing. Stalks of wheat and possibilities and many blessings. May this year be a blessed one for you. Amen.